I didn't realize how much I disassociated until I started learning to show up for myself. I was on autopilot for years. Zone out, game on, game over. That was surviving. And I didn't even know that's what I was doing. Years ago, I was in cult recovery therapy, virtual group work all over a Zoom call. I remember them talking about disassociation a lot, about how trauma survivors disconnect from their bodies, space out, emotionally check out. I remember hearing that and thinking, well, that's not me. I thought, I'm sharp, I'm articulate, I'm here. But now I look back and realize I was gone half the time. Even on those Zoom calls, I'd zone out. I wouldn't mean to. Someone would be sharing something heavy, or the conversation would get complex or emotionally loaded, and my brain would just drift. I'd miss entire sections and have no idea what was just said. At the time, I thought I was just tired or distracted, but really, I was overloaded and I was disassociating. It happened all the time in my life, and I didn't realize it was happening. I spent the last decade basically glued to my phone. And sure, I work in social media and online business, so that requires being online. But this was different. I wasn't just managing work, I was playing games for hours a day. These repetitive, mindless games that I told myself were relaxing, but they weren't. They were numbing. I'd get home from a long day and disappear into them, and it felt normal. But now I see that I was disassociating every single day. And it didn't stop with games or work. It showed up in relationships, especially romantic ones. I could be sitting there right next to my partner, someone I loved, holding their hand, even cuddling on the sofa, and I'd be gone. I'd leave the moment emotionally, mentally, sometimes without even realizing it. And when that person would try to connect with me, ask me something, or reach out mid disassociation, I'd snap. Not in anger, but in startle. It was like they caught me doing something I didn't know I was doing. They'd pull me out of that floaty headspace too fast, and I'd get short, irritated, even cold. It wasn't personal, but it felt personal to them. And I get that now. It created confusion, disconnection. They'd wonder why I was suddenly cold or reactive, and I didn't have the words to explain it because I didn't even know I had left. I didn't understand how my body worked. I didn't realize that I was disassociating in the relationship while still physically showing up to the relationship. Since I started unmasking in the last few months, I've begun to feel that moment where I'm starting to disappear. That hazy switch, the internal float, the drift into somewhere else. I've started catching it. Sometimes I'm in conversation with someone that I love, and suddenly I realize I'm not absorbing what they're saying. And now I have the language to say, hey, I zoned for a second. Can you repeat that? That one sentence can completely change the tone of a conversation. I've also created a rule for myself when I feel disassociated and someone calls me. I don't answer right away. I decline the call, give myself a moment to come back to my body, to the present. Then I call them when I'm regulated. So I don't say something short or reactive without meaning to. That tiny delay makes all the difference. I've learned that disassociation doesn't just affect me, it deeply affects the people I care about, especially if they don't know or understand what it is. The people in my life now, my chosen family, my close friends, they understand that when I go quiet or seem disconnected, it's not me pulling away. It's me losing my grounding because I've explained it to them. I've given them the language and they've met me there. Disassociation used to be constant for me. I didn't know it was happening, and because I didn't have the awareness, I didn't have the tools to stop it or even communicate it. But now I'm starting to recognize it. I haven't played those games in weeks. I catch myself when I start to scroll or space or zone out. I notice when I'm checking out emotionally during conversations, and I take a breath. I let the people around me know what's going on and what's happening. And that honesty has opened up more intimacy and trust than I ever thought was possible. Because the worst part of disassociation isn't the zoning out. It's the shame that follows. The moment you realize you weren't there for someone you care about or for yourself. But I'm learning now. Disassociation isn't a failure. It's a signal. It's a coping strategy that helped me survive a world that didn't make space for my neurodivergence. And now, instead of disappearing, I'm starting to stay, even in discomfort, even when I'm overwhelmed. I don't expect perfection. I still zone out. I still lose time sometimes. But now I come back quicker. I take responsibility for the way I show up, and I offer the people I love an explanation instead of silence. If this resonates, if you've been told that you're too distant or cold or not fully there, and you felt that gut drop of guilt immediately afterward, you're not broken. You're not unloving. You might just be disassociating. And the more you understand it, the more choice you have in how you move through it all. You can return. You can stay. I'm learning to stay. And it's changing everything. Thanks for being here and witnessing.